going down. Tired of myself, tired of this town.
Eminent Waste of Time, episode 54. I'm Doug.
And I'm Chad.
And we're still not in the studio.
You noticed?
It's getting closer.
Yeah, it is.
But I was going to ruin, I guess I'll just ruin it for everybody. I've zoomed in a little bit. I don't think anybody can see your fridge this time.
I know.
We're going to change the motif a little bit.
It's because the kids are home. It's a Sunday afternoon. The giant one may roam down and, seek sustenance.
Yes.
Because he does that about every 10 minutes.
Well, I was going to say, we all just went out to eat, lunch on Sundays like we normally do. Our families get together and have lunch. And he ate about 15 plates of food. So that's like an hour. Yeah,
that'll hold him. Maybe we can get this done without him coming down and eating again.
We had actually thought about doing this one in the studio, even though it's not done. But it's October, today's the 7th? Yes. We'll go with that. And it's 85 degrees and really humid out. Yeah. So I'm ready for fall, and fall's evidently not ready for us yet.
I think everyone is having this kind of crazy weather, though, where...
Oh, yeah, it's nuts.
It's like, I think our average, at least yesterday when I was watching the news in the morning, our average is supposed to be 65 as the high. It was like 90 degrees here yesterday.
Yeah. So there's no way we were sitting out in the barn with no air conditioning in a half-finished room sweating it out.
No. We like you guys. We don't like you that much. So, yeah. We're here for that. I would like to say another week. Probably going to be another couple weeks.
I think that's optimistic, because here's my schedule coming up. I'll be around this week, and this coming weekend, my parents are coming down because they want to see the kids march in marching band at the final home game. And then after that's MWXC. The week after that is the trip down south to the Southern Mud Riders.
Yep.
The weekend after that is MWXC again.
Yep.
The weekend after that, I've got a business trip down to Dallas.
Yeah.
So I've got a month worth of weekends I will not even be around.
And that means the weeks are busier.
Yeah, because you're trying to cope with all the stuff you should be doing on the weekends during the week. And yeah, I basically figure if I can survive until Thanksgiving, it's pretty smooth sailing from there. It's just getting to Thanksgiving is going to be the fun part.
Yeah. So my schedule, I'll give you the rundown on mine. I wanted to go to the Midwest side-by-side race this weekend. I don't think I'm going to be able to. I believe my parents are moving this weekend.
That's a thing.
Yeah. We just didn't know when, but it looks like it's going to be this coming weekend. So that means I get to carry heavy stuff around. Yay. Then the weekend after, Midwest, there is MWXC, just like Doug. The weekend after that is GNCC.
Yes,
for me.
indeed.
And then another MWXC race. And I don't go out of town for business really ever, so I don't have any of that. So, but that's the next three weeks at least that are tied up, and
it's gonna be good times all around.
It's just gonna be busy.
Yeah. So we're gonna pick and choose when we can work on the studio. We've been working on it on weekdays and off hours and whenever we have time, but there's all that other stuff you're supposed to be doing, families and
jobs,
needy people.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
My kids would stop eating. I wouldn't have such a high food bill, and I wouldn't have to worry about it.
We could pay somebody to do this.
Yeah.
But we're getting closer if you've been following the video updates. So the goal is to be in there before the end of the racing season, which is fast approaching, because honestly, the next round at MWXC is side-by-side.
That's their last one.
But that is, yeah, exactly. There's one more round after that, but there's no side-by-sides. So.
And Midwest side-by-side, their last one is this coming weekend.
So by end of the season, I mean end of the calendar year, maybe. No, we'll be close.
I think we can be in there before the end of the year. I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, we're close.
It's going to be tight to be in by the end of the race seasons. Well, so I still have GNCC, so we're still in race season.
Yes,
I'm stretching this out.
Technically, we're okay.
And then there is IXCR, where we're running that mini Heartland Challenge thing, the 2-hour one.
Is that the weekend of the 12th or something like that?
Yeah.
12th and 13th, that range, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's right in there, maybe the 14th or whatever it is, but it's
and
somewhere.
And if you haven't followed that, what that is IXCR got rained out a couple times, so they are making up some race dates. and they basically had everybody vote and take a poll. And so they're doing one weekend is back-to-back bikes.
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday, 2 rounds. And then they're doing the same thing for side-by-sides and quads. So but what they're doing for side-by-sides is they're having a 2-hour mini Heartland Challenge type of thing. So it's going to be a different race than they normally do. It's going to take off at 5 o'clock at night, but you got to figure that 5 o'clock at night is going to be after daylight savings time is ended.
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to shift back. So right now it gets dark about 7:30. So it'll be dark at 6:30. If it was now and you tack another month of time on, it's going to be dark at 6.
It's going to be getting dusk when we start.
Yeah. So
and then we will finish in the pitch black dark.
So for all you people that have taken your lights off of your buggies,
you better put something back on.
Yeah, you're going to, even if you just tape a mag light to the dashboard or something, you're going to want something out there.
Yeah. So, and that's the one Steve Mueller and I are running, and I'm driving his machine. Now, this is all based on assuming his buggy is still holding together.
Because he's not in IXCR for points.
No.
He's only run 1 round this year.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
And Steve says he refuses to go if it's snowing.
And that's a possibility because we've been talking about how hot it is. If you look at the forecast, Thursday, the high is like 52. Basically Wednesday, there's some thunderstorms rolling in, and then the bottom falls out.
Well, and you tack another month onto that, and snow is possible. Not likely, but possible.
We used to joke on the north end of the state because we got so much more snow that if you didn't have your snow tires on by Thanksgiving, you were out of your mind.
Well, and we are going north of where we are. I mean, where it's not a ton north, but it's up in Attica at the Badlands. So
yeah. It's
a couple hours north.
There's a chance.
It's a very real possibility that we could have snow. Now, I told him to quit being a wuss and just get out there and do it anyway. Those racers pump out heats. I mean,
I was going to say, you normally complain about how hot it is. Maybe it'll be perfect.
I actually would not mind racing on a cold day in a Razor Turbo because you're already in I always race in a fire suit. I mean, a lot of series don't require it. I pretty much always. I think one time I brought my fire suit down and tied it around my waist where I still had the pants section on, but I had left the top off because it was 95 degrees out and I had been out in the sun all day and I just couldn't stand the thought of having the full fire suit up and on and just cooking myself in it. But in a fire suit, in a Razor Turbo, which are just inherently hot machines, and have it being 45 degrees or something, that really doesn't sound like a bad thing.
No, we ran that, the Harrison Power Sports. It wasn't a race, it was a ride.
Yeah.
But we ran that, and it was, the warmest it got was 20 or 21 that day, and it started off in the teens.
Yeah.
We were fine.
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, you can survive it. It's just knowing how to bundle up to live through it.
Yeah, exactly. So. But that sounds like a lot of fun. I unfortunately will not be able to be there for that because that's when I'll be down in Dallas. But yeah, right now it's every weekend is a choice of 4 things and which one do I have to do and which ones can I do and
which ones can I miss, which ones can I make and which one can Chad cover when Doug's gone and which one can Doug cover while Chad's got other stuff going on. And
oh my word.
It's how it is.
Hobbies in massive quotes.
Yeah.
Second jobs.
So like we said, Midwest Side-by-Side Race Series, their last one is this weekend.
So I think, and I know Steve Mueller will correct us if we're wrong, but I think as of this last race, he is back on top overall and in class. I think he's taken the lead back.
Did he? Or was that...
Well, that's what he was speculating. I never actually went online to check.
I don't think that was for Midwest Side-by-Side. That was for
MWXC.
No.
I'm talking MWXC.
Oh, okay,
Because that's what's coming up this coming... Or no, it's not. It's 2 weekends.
Yeah. See, you're getting your stuff confused.
There's too much crap going on.
No.
Yes. So for Midwest, there's no way he can catch Devin.
That is correct.
Devin Smith is leading in points, and Devin's drop is only 15 points versus Steve has to drop a 31 point.
Correct.
So there's no way.
I'll preface that by saying there is a way if Devin didn't show up.
If he doesn't show up, he's not going to.
Devin won't not show up, though. Devin will show up. And even if he's got to borrow Mike Plank's little 800 or something, just line up with the pros.
That would be so awesome. I kind of want to see that.
Yeah.
Well, if he doesn't get new rollers for his secondary, who knows?
He lost. I believe the X3s have 3 rollers in the
That
clutch.
is correct.
I'm not real familiar with their clutching, but 2 of them were gone. He was just on 1, and he was saying it wasn't shifting outright, and stuff just wasn't working, and it was making funny noises and everything else. So he found that, and he posted a picture, and we all kind of chuckled. It's like, well, there's your problem. We can clearly see the problem now. So, yeah, it sounds like Devin will he'll turn a lap, and he will take first place overall in the open class. I don't think they do an overall.
No, I don't think so.
But he'll take first in the open class in Midwest side-by-side, and Steve Mueller will take second. And I don't think anybody else has really a chance to catch either one of them that I can remember. I'm trying to go.
No.
It's hard to keep all the points races straight in your head when you're talking about between a few different series.
Yeah, and I need to find out specifically where they track all that. I'm sure it's somewhere on Facebook, but
yeah, it is.
So he's got that coming up, but I mean, it's not like locking up second place in class is bad. I mean, he's had a good season, and I mean, everybody wants to be first, but that's still an accomplishment to me. That's still solid.
And when you think about it, so most podiums at pretty much any race series, I don't care which one you're looking at, are pretty well dominated by the X3s.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So Steve is proving that in a razor, and I'll give my opinion in a second why I think that is, but he's proving in a razor that to be consistent with it is pretty much as important as being the fastest guy out there, because Steve he normally finishes 5th, 6th, 7th. You know, it kind of depends who all shows up.
Sure.
He just finishes mid-pack. That's where Steve finishes, and he'll tell you that. It's not a dig at him. It's just what he does. But it's his consistency that's got him second place when he never has finished that high.
And that's one thing we'll take kind of a little side trip here real quick. If you're looking for sponsorship, we've talked about the fact that Steve is factory backed. And you might look at it and go, how is he factory backed if he finishes, 5th and 6th place? It's because he wins overalls. And so at the end of the season, when they're giving out overalls, he's either first or second. And that's what counts. That name is visible. He's at every race because his machine, as a factory-backed rider, is a rolling billboard for Polaris.
Yeah.
So he's at every race. He shows up. He finishes. And at the end of the season, he's at the top in points. And that counts for a whole ton. And the other thing he does really well that I can't stress enough how important this is to somebody who's looking to sponsor you, his rig is always the nicest looking one on the line.
Yeah, and Doug and I both agree with this. We don't mean like he's got the nicest parts. Now, he does have nice parts, but it's always cleaned. It's always SC1'd. It looks like you could take it to a show and it's presented as well as he could present it.
And this is something that's raced a full season, so it's got a few dings and nicks and scratches and stuff, but he takes the time to clean it. I mean, clean the inside as well. The seats are clean. The floors are clean. I mean, you could basically eat out of this machine.
I have to watch myself getting in and out of his buggy. I learned it really quick, but he SC1's the floors. So when you're and he doesn't have doors, so you're sliding in through the cage opening, where like the roof and the driver's compartment is. So when you go to put your feet down, you better still have a hold of that cage or you're just going to end up all humped up in a pile on the floorboard.
You can get in real quick.
Yeah.
Unintentionally.
Getting out might be another thing. But no, he presents it really well. So if you guys are looking for, not even necessarily a factory backing sponsor, but just a sponsor, this is an overall thing you guys need to think about. You really need to take a page out of the Steve Mueller book of, racing that... Be consistent. Always have your stuff ready as far as, be ready to race. Don't be like, oh, I, didn't order my parts and I got to overnight them in.
Or, it's 5 minutes before the horn blows and you're trying to change a battery because you forgot about it or something. I mean, He goes over that machine nut and bolt. He has maintenance logs and it's ready to race when he pulls it off the trailer. There's no last minute stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I understand every so often there is a last minute thing that just jumps up and bites you. We've all had it happen. But he has his machine ready, and then he presents really well. The only thing, and I'm not dogging Steve for this, the only thing that any racer could do a little more than what Steve does is make a bigger social media presence. because Steve doesn't really have. A lot of guys do it. I don't see Steve do it so much, but after every race, they post a post-race wrap-up, and they tag all their sponsors and everything in it.
Maybe that's some business Eminent Performance you get into.
Yeah,
we'll do your race reviews for you.
Yeah,
for a small fee.
Your race wrap-ups.
Or a large fee.
Yeah.
Or something.
So,
Look at me trying to turn this into, I'm not going to say a moneymaker, solvent, a break-evener.
Even wash at best.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
But we talked about, well, I started into Midwest XC, MWXC racing, and because I got my dates confused, Steve did retake the overall away from Matt Hecker.
He finished just in front of him.
So total now, Steve has 2,325 points, and Hecker has 2,324.
Yeah.
They are 1 point apart.
That's because they finished one space different.
So basically, Steve has to come in ahead of Matt.
On the next one.
That's it.
To get first.
He doesn't have to get first place. He just has to finish fifth and make sure Matt finishes sixth.
Or lower.
Yeah. Which has interesting race dynamics.
Well, and
Steve runs his own race, and I appreciate that about him. He runs the race and the pace he thinks he needs to run.
Right.
And that's what he does.
Or what he's comfortable running.
Yeah.
But I do have to applaud Steve, and he talked about it in the last podcast. If you guys missed that, we did the podcast right from the MWXC site. He said, and Matt Hecker is very good about this, he's good about pushing someone and just kind of showing them a wheel and staying right on their bumper. And his car's loud too, and you hear it behind you.
And it does mentally start to mess with you when you hear that loud car behind you. And he's not pushing you to the point where you're making a mistake because he's got his driver's side front wheel on your passenger side rear wheel, like he's bumping you.
No.
He's just back there. He's just hanging around, just wanting to see what you do.
Yeah. Well, when I say pushing, I mean he's not physically pushing your machine into things, but he's back there. He's applying pressure. He's letting you know all the time, hey, I'm here. If you mess up, I'm going to take your spot. And Steve did a very good job of saying, don't pay attention to him. Don't ignore him. Run my race, and that's just what I'm going to do. So he did, and he finished it in front of him, and that's what he had to do. And he's just got to do it one more time, and he takes first overall.
That's, and again, that's part of what we were talking about earlier. Sponsorship isn't necessarily about finishing first in an individual race. I mean, you can finish first in one race and do absolutely terrible in a couple of others and then not show up for a few, and you're nowhere in the points.
Yeah.
It's consistency. What advertising, really what you're trading when you're doing sponsorship is advertising and being visible for some cash or discount on parts or whatever, some sort of financial consideration, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
But the biggest part of that is being visible. If you're not at the races and you don't present well and you don't finish, you're, constantly one lap and then you disappear, nobody's going to be interested in putting money behind you. So Steve is kind of a good class or a good study, I should say, in what you're looking for when you're doing sponsorship. It's not necessarily just, but look, on this one race, I finished 3 minutes ahead of everybody. Yeah, but you only finished 2 races the entire season and you skipped 3 of them.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to be interested in that.
Yeah. It just doesn't help you. So that's something. But back to the Midwest side-by-side race and the kind of the overall, I mean, we got caught off on points and going on that road.
It was important, valuable stuff that I'm sure our listeners appreciate.
So it's out in Sullivan, Missouri.
This is the Moonlight one that takes place during the day.
Yeah. Well,
Moonlight's the name of the park.
Yeah. They race there one other time this year, I think.
Yeah, it was pretty early on, I think.
Yeah. But I would love to go, but like I said, I think my parents are moving, and on top of that, it is a 5-hour drive each way for me.
And I would love to go, but my parents are coming in from out of town, and if I don't see them now, I won't see them till Thanksgiving, basically.
Yeah.
And this is coming from somebody who used to live 20 minutes from his parents and saw them twice a week. So it's just not feasible at this point. It's my kid's last home game, and it's just a bunch of ands.
Lots going on.
If we were both if I was going and you kind of want to go, I think we probably would do it because you switch off on driving and it's a little easier. But by yourself with everything else, and like you said, your parents moving, that's a tall order.
Yeah. So well, you got to think about it. So the race starts at 10:30. I think the first one. I'm trying to remember the times.
It starts at 11:30 local time.
Okay, then it's 11:30 local time. So to get there, you'd have to leave about daybreak.
Yeah,
roughly.
The real kicker is losing the hour coming, because you gain an hour going there. If it's 12:30 our time, it's 11:30 their time. But coming back, if you leave, let's say you leave at 3:34 in the afternoon local time,
you're leaving at
that's leaving at basically 5 to 5:30. So you're not going to be back till 10:30 at night, and that's if you drive straight through, don't eat.
Yeah,
nothing.
No stopping at all. That's just not fun.
No. So we're probably going to not do that one. And again, if it was in a vacuum where we had free weekends
on either side,
that'd be different.
Yeah.
But we don't. So we're going to ditch that one. We are going to be involved with the, what do we call it, the awards banquet.
Yes. Their award, the Midwest Side-by-Side Awards Banquet. And we're still going to be involved with MWXC's Awards Banquet and all that. So.
And we did trophy. I think we talked about that. But yeah. Did we show those?
No, we did not.
Okay, we probably need to get a picture up, and I don't know if I'll have it before I push this podcast out, but we'll get pictures and put it up on Facebook or Instagram. But we made some trophies for that series out of leftover Ford 5.0 parts. Yep. And by 5.0, I mean the modern 5.0, not the old school. We didn't go gut a 1990s Camaro or a Mustang Fox body. Don't freak out, Ford fans.
If you gutted a Chevy Mustang, then you found something, or a Ford Camaro, whatever you referenced it as.
Yeah, I don't know why I went there. My brain knew better, my mouth didn't. But yeah, we didn't gut an old vintage Fox body because people, I don't know why they freak out. I think the Fox is an ugly Mustang. Send the hate mail. I don't care.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had one of the wrecked trucks out back. We pulled camshafts and rockers,
hydraulic
and
lifters and timing chains, and
it looks pretty cool.
They're neat. It's better than just getting that piece of plywood with a sticker on it.
It is. And they're hefty.
Yeah.
They probably weigh, 10, 12 pounds a piece?
Yeah, they're probably about 10 pounds a piece.
Self-defense trophy. If somebody breaks into your man cave,
just beat them with it.
You could club somebody to death with this thing.
But no, it was one of those things where we wanted to get a trophy out to the side-by-side guys that they were proud of.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, well, here's a plaque, sitting there leaning up on the shelf. It's one of those things when people see it, they'll be like, I like that. That's something special.
People race for that stuff. Yeah. I mean, it does make a difference.
So, yeah, we'll get some pictures and we'll get them out on social media at some point. But yeah, it's
just seems weird. I know it sounds like we're making excuses, but it sounds weird for us to skip an event. But man, October is just not going to be a friendly month.
No, it's just, everything's wrapping up.
Well, and I realized I haven't done a blog post in multiple weeks. I need to crank one.
I know.
Oh my word.
I know.
Sleeping's nice too.
So while we're on the topic of October, GNCC update from me, and we'll get a Doug's trip to Louisiana. Or do you want to go first?
Sure.
You probably don't have a lot.
The update is I'm still going.
Yeah.
Back to you, Chad.
Did you talk to the other person about going? Have you heard any more?
He has not given me a confirmation yet, but Mr. Mike Plank actually has expressed interest. He said if it lines up with his wife's work schedule, he probably wants to go. So I told him, I said, there's multiple seats because I'm taking my car down. We're not taking toys because this is a mud run and none of us have mud buggies.
No.
I mean, some of these guys are running 44s.
Yeah.
So
everybody we run with, they're racers and they're all lowered down and
running 27s.
Yeah, 27s, not 40 somethings.
Yeah. So we're not taking toys. We're taking my car. I said, there's 5 seats in the car maximum. I said, if you both can come, I'm not excluding anybody here. So,
yeah. Everyone. Well, not everyone can go, but
everybody. We'll take the. Is the church bus still over there?
Yep.
Yeah, we just take the bus.
Take the church bus.
Dude, down to Louisiana, 12 hours.
It'd be more than 12 hours in that bus.
Yeah, it'd be like 14. That'd be so terrible. Yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
So, okay. Not a whole lot of update, but it sounds like you may have at least one person to go with you, maybe 2.
So it'd be nice. I mean, if for no other reason, that's a long drive. I don't mind the drive. It's just the boring by yourself aspect.
Yeah. So I'll give you guys my GNCC update. I mean, I'm still racing it. That's not the question. I got race number plates that came in. The vinyl is on its way in for my number. I got assigned my number. I didn't get my first 2 choices. They gave me choice number 3.
You got number 400, was it?
400, yes. That's the number they gave me. My AMA license was approved, and it showed up in the mail, so I'm now a licensed AMA racer.
So they're obviously not picky about who they give a license to.
Yeah, sure. Give him something. Give him a little piece of plastic that says he can race. Whatever.
Did he pay us? Yes. Okay, that's
Done.
fine.
Yeah. So I got that, and I have all my safety equipment that's required. Steve's all set on his end. He's got all his safety equipment that's required. Really, the only thing left to do is after this weekend, the pink buggy is done racing the Midwest side-by-side. I need to get with Cody and figure out when I'll pick it up, and if he's going to look it over, if I need to look it over. If I need to look it over, I want to go get it sooner rather than later. And because I need time to look it over and make sure that if I have to get anything, I can get it in time. But yeah, just
my guess is he'll probably do that solely because if it does need something, he probably already has it.
Yeah,
exactly.
And then I just need to put some seat time in.
I would check those lower A arms.
I plan on it. I bet Cody will too. I have no doubt Cody will. So yeah, I just need to go get it, put some seat time in. I'm debating which neck brace I'll run. I didn't have much time to adjust or anything prior to the only other race I've sat in the thing. But the neck brace that I normally wear that fits great when I'm in Steve's buggy, it was hitting the seat funny and causing me...
Oh, yeah. You said that didn't work out so well.
No, it was not. So I have another one that I may just use that. It's not quite as protective, but it is what it is. The kid's cat's crawling under your... chair.
Oh, I forgot you have vermin in here. Yes.
Yes.
There's both of them.
They're tiny.
Oh, my word, they are tiny.
Yeah.
They look like snacks for Bubba.
Yes, they are. That's the two together are a snack.
Yeah.
Singular, they're not anything. So
well, I'm not sneezing violently yet, even though I forgot you had cats here, so that's good.
See, it's all in your head.
No, it's really super not all in my head. I wish that were the case.
So anyway, yeah, GNCC stuff. I'm as ready as I can be until we get to that week before, and that's just what it is. I'm gonna have to. It's gonna be a cram week that week.
Pretty much. Well, one other thing we talked about. Well, we talked all around it last time and never really landed on it, and wanted to spend a couple minutes on this. Was my last MWXC race with Gregory Sharp.
Yep.
So we had talked about it. I wanted to give the drivers that were there with us a spotlight and some time to talk without just saying, "Look at me in my race." But now that they're not here, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
So I rode with.
Now you're saying, "Look at me in my race."
Exactly, because I'm the most important person in the room right now. Sorry. Okay, maybe the cats are. I don't know.
No arguments.
So, Gregory is 13 years old, and he is currently leading in points down in the Dirty Turtle Series in southern Indiana, which is a short course style race. They do sometimes go a little bit in the woods, but it's kind of like the track layout we talked about a couple podcasts ago, where it's wide in the woods.
Even in the woods, it's like 3 cars wide.
And it's not a long section. It's not like you're gone for 4 miles.
Yeah, it's just like duck in for, I guess, a half mile or quarter mile, and you're back out.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, he's actually already sewn up the championship.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't show up for this last race, he's got it in the bag. So that's actually the same weekend as GNCC and the Southern Mud Riders. Yeah. So otherwise, I would want to go down and see him because he's going to run it. He wants to race it.
Right.
But he has never XC raced before. And so he showed up in his Razor 900, and his dad has spent a lot of time wrenching on that machine and really has it tweaked pretty well, but I didn't realize this until I talked to him. He has done all that work himself, and he taught himself on that machine. So he's done all the suspension adjustment. Yeah. Like he spent hours and hours of tweak this, go run it. What did that do? Do I like it better? Do I not like it at all? He spent hours and hours and hours learning how to tune the suspension for his son, done the motor work. I mean, he's done everything on that buggy. And I'm telling you, for a 900, that thing is an impressive machine.
Yeah.
I think it honestly could hang with many of the thousands out there.
Yeah.
And so it was his first XC race, first time in the woods. And I was really curious how he was going to handle that because he's used to open tracks. And now for an MWXC track, this thing was miles wide. In fact, there were some tight technical areas, which I don't mind. I really actually prefer to have a track that's got a couple spots you need to slow down and think about how you're going to get through it. But I don't like it when there's 2 miles of that all back to back to back and you don't have any room to run. Or
the so-called tight technical spot is 59 inches wide, and your limit of width is 64, 65.
So technical as in technically you can't fit?
You can't fit, yes. And that has happened, and that's frustrating.
I thought about mounting a chainsaw on the bed, jump out, and there, now we fit. But long story short, there were 12 buggies on the heavy row.
Yep.
He finished 4th.
It's not bad.
I mean, he ran a really, really solid race. I was really impressed with him, actually. He took his time in the woods where he needed to. With some experience, I think he would be considerably faster in the woods.
Yeah.
But for his first race, he was just trying to keep the machine together. The only time he hit a tree, we were going, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 miles an hour, and he just kind of coasted into it, backed up, got around it. That was it. So it didn't do anything to the machine at all.
Yeah.
And man, out in the fields, that kid was railing. I mean, he was out there getting it in the field sections.
Huh.
And I thought he ran a really solid race. I mean, he's got room to improve. He's got room to grow, as any young racer would. But I think if he keeps on the trajectory he's on, he's going to give a lot of older drivers headaches.
Yep. Well, but it's a good thing to see the young kids out there. I mean, some people complain, oh, they're too young to be doing it. And we talked about this in previous podcasts, what do you expect these kids to do? There's very few manufacturers making any kind of sport quad anymore. So you can't expect them to get on board the sport quad thing and go pick up a 10-year-old machine and try and learn on that. And, because why? There's no one going to be making them probably in a few years. At least that's the way it looks.
With the way things are trending. And not everybody likes riding a bike.
No. So, and a lot of people, like myself, I have a side-by-side. My kids have grown up driving my side-by-sides around. I mean, they don't race, but they've grown up driving them around. To put them on a four-wheeler, they'd be completely lost because that's just not what I've kept around.
Yeah, it's a totally different discipline.
So what are we expecting the future racers to drive, to learn to race?
And normally we wouldn't let a racer that young race at Midwest MWXC, but he's leading his class, has it all sewn up in a different race series. So we know that he has experience and knows how to drive. And his dad actually has a separate liability and, insurance policy on him.
Yeah.
So that mitigated a lot of the risk right there. So we decided to take a chance and let him run. And honestly, he ran a great race. He didn't bump anybody. He didn't hit anybody. He never got in anybody's way. When I heard Kyle Chaney or Rowell or Smith or anybody come up behind him, I told him to pull over. He got right over and let him by. I mean, he didn't balk at it. He understood the rules, and got out of people's way in a timely fashion. So I really didn't see any reason why he shouldn't have been allowed to run there. I understand why we have age limits, but having some background on racers and some experience with them, I think, is just as important, because while we talked about the spearing incident at Ghost Town, that guy was way more than old enough, and in theory had way more than enough experience that should not have been an issue, and yet he took his general and rammed it right into the side of Jason Bannon. So age alone isn't necessarily the only factor. I mean, if there's demonstrable proof that a young racer knows what they're doing, we owe it to ourselves and to promote the future of the sport to let them get out there and run.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with it, but it gets to be this touchy subject of...
Well, how are you going to evaluate every racer? And I mean, this kid had about dozens of people that knew him personally that were willing to vouch for him and come forward.
Yeah.
But I understand why race series don't want to do it on a case-by-case-by-case basis either. So it is touchy, and I don't know what the right answer is, because you're going to create kind of haves and have-nots in terms of, I don't know this kid at all. He might be the best thing since sliced bread, but I don't know anything about him. I'm not going to let him run, and now you have that whole situation.
Yeah.
But regardless, it happened. The decision was made. It wasn't mine to make. It was made completely in a vacuum away from me. and I thought he, proved that he deserved to be there.
Yep. Sorry, I was taking a drink.
No, that's fine. And I just wanted to throw it out there, and we talked around it last time, but I really thought he deserved some airtime and some recognition. I'll post a couple pictures, during this segment. I'll tie them into the video. And, if you want to get in touch with him and kind of talk to him, we can
facilitate that. Just reach out to us.
Just reach out to us, and we can put you in contact with him if you want to know more about the series he's running or his race resume or anything like that. But
yeah,
very impressive young man, and speaks well for the future of the sport.
Very polite, everything. I mean, just model racer as far as I was concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. The sport could use more like him, and that's why I want to encourage him and keep him going. And the only time I had a twinge of, I told you I've never been afraid in a buggy before.
Yeah.
The only time I had a twinge wasn't even during the race. It was at the start of the race. I'm telling him, okay, foot on the brake, in gear, hand on the key, ready to go. Just make sure he had his mental checklist and make sure he was, ready for the start.
Right.
So I looked down in the footwell of the driver's side, and there's a wood block strapped to the accelerator pedal.
It's screwed
so
to
that
it.
he can get to the pedal.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 13 years old. He is not a big 13-year-old.
No, he's not.
He's probably, I don't even know if he's 5 foot tall. If he is, he's like right at it.
Yeah.
And so it just cracked me up because I looked down and it reminded me of something from like the Little Rascals. They go out and steal a Model A, and they've got the phone book on the seat and the block of wood on the accelerator pedal so they can steal somebody's Model A. That was my first thought, and I had this little twinge of, what did I just get myself into?
Yeah.
But honestly, once we took off, wasn't a worry. But it just was one of those funny moments.
Yep. So it was interesting, but it was good to see him get out there and run.
I had an absolute blast. I'd do it. I'd go with him anytime.
Yep. So, let's see, time-wise, how much? Well, we have.
I don't know. We got stuff. We got to do this.
The number 2 on our list there. So we have been hinting and talking about this for what, months? A month at least.
Yeah, kind of in the vein of general 2019 plans, but we now have one that we can announce, and we'll start this off by saying this is the tentative name, and then we're going to create a poll and let you guys have some say in how we name this. But it's going to be a new segment, but it's going to be a very big one on the show.
Yes.
So the temporary name is Race a Razor, and that's going to be brought to you by CW Motorsports. We've also talked about Racers in a Wreck or something along those lines, or we'll find a good name for this thing. But here's the general idea. A lot of you, I'm sure, have seen the show Top Gear, the British one, not the American one. Go see the original British one. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it. But there is a segment called Star in a Reasonably Priced Car. And so they take a legit star, like they've had everybody on there. Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart,
Gordon Ramsay, and
they've had Mr. Bean, Rowan Atkinson. Yeah. And that dude flat out can drive, which surprised the heck out of me.
So, but they take these people that are well known and they put them in a crappy econo box.
Yeah, so they have different car names over there, but think like Ford Escort or Chevy Cavalier, because it's always an older car as well. It's mechanically sound. It has a cage. It's got seats in it with harnesses, so it's safe. It's just not fast.
No, they're just not fast cars. So we're basically stealing a page from them is what we're doing.
And CW Motorsports is going to be providing us a Razor 800. No power steering, no engine modifications, no fuel commander, no fancy STM clutch, nothing. It'll be safe. It's going to have a cage. It's going to have harnesses.
Yep.
It'll be structurally sound. It'll be ready to rumble. Basically, think Mike Plank's buggy because, he's got some engine stuff and he's got a few other things.
It'll be slower than Plank's.
It'll be slower than Plank's, but it will be just a basic no power steering Razor 800. So Plank's going to have an advantage in this. But we're going to bring people out here to the Shoemaker compound. We're going to have a track set up that's in the neighborhood of 3 miles long. And you are going to go out there. We'll give you a couple laps to get accustomed to the track. And then you're going to run a hot lap, and we're going to time you, and you're going to be on the leaderboard. So the idea will be we'll probably have some sort of launch party. We'll get 4, 5, 6, however many racers out here to lay down kind of,
initial times,
benchmark times, so that the board isn't empty when we start. And then whenever we have somebody come out that wants to be on the show, we'll bring them out here. They'll lay down a lap, and then we'll go back in the studio and record the rest of the show with that person.
And talk about their lap sum and
talk
stuff
about
like
their
that.
lap sum and some other stuff like that. But we honestly think it's going to be a great icebreaker. And the other thing it's going to do is it's going to pit drivers against drivers on a completely level playing field.
Yeah.
Now, there might be weather differences. We might have to put a muddy or a wet lap versus somebody's dry lap.
Yeah.
But it's going to be in the same machine on the same course. It's not going to be Steve Mueller and his Razor versus Devin Smith and his X3 or something along those lines.
Versus Mike Plank and his 800.
Yeah. Or Barry Miller and his noise machine.
Yeah.
I mean, X3.
That.
So it's going to be everybody in the same machine. We're going to level that playing field right out of the gate.
So essentially, you have to jump in a machine you've never been in, and you have to put down the fastest lap you can. Now, there's going to be some rules to it, obviously, and we'll fill those in as we go. We're still firming up all that stuff. But, yeah, and I've always said it's more fun to drive a slow machine fast than drive a fast machine slow.
And we've got backing for parts and some other stuff, so we're going to keep the machine maintained. That being said, we're not going to make you sign a waiver that says if you completely ball this thing up, you owe us a ton of money. But please don't ball it up.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to be putting it back together a fair amount, I would guess.
Yeah.
But this isn't going to be a super challenging track either.
No.
I mean,
if you'll fit easily.
If you've raced before, this will not be anything that is going to make you bat an eye.
Yeah.
And there will be a section where you will be able to top that Razor out, which again will not be that impressive.
Yeah.
But you will be able to put it to the wood and see where the top end is at 58 miles an hour or whatever
it touches, yes. So, yeah, we think that'll just be a hoot. I think it'll be a ball to watch.
We're really excited about this. I've been really super eager to tell everybody we're doing this.
Yeah, we've already got a timing system, so it's not going to be based on me just counting or having a cell phone timer or something. It's a legit scoring timer that is attached to the machine, and when you break the beam, the time starts, and when you break it the second time, it times your lap.
And that's it. So again, we think this is just going to be a really, really good icebreaker / conversation starter / just a way to
start rivalries
or end them or however that's going to work out. But we're really excited about this whole prospect. We do need some help naming it. We've tossed around a few. We haven't found anything yet that we really love. So by all means, go ahead and get a hold of us on Facebook, or if you want to leave it on video comments here and YouTube, we'll check everywhere. We'll give this thing a few weeks to marinate, and then we will pick a name.
We'll throw a poll out there, do something like that, try and, prime with some suggestions maybe, but we want you guys to have some say in it too. So
yeah, because somebody out there I know is going to have a really good name for this, and we'll be mad if we don't avail ourselves of your collective wisdom.
So, think along the lines of, Race a Razor or Racer in a Wreck or something like that.
Yeah. Star in a reasonably priced car was such a great title. So that's kind of the benchmark. That's the goal we're shooting for, is something along those lines.
Yep.
So that should be interesting.
Yep. And we'll probably start that in the spring of 2019 once the ground kind of firms up and,
I think we'll probably post a lap of each of ours too.
Yeah. Ours won't count towards the overall scoreboard, but just to give you an idea.
Yeah.
So
should be interesting.
It'll be fun.
Plus, I'm looking forward to just having a bunch of people over, and we'll have a cookout or something along those lines, and we'll kind of shoot a podcast around just that activity. Everybody hanging out, laps as they're coming in, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So every time, again, Top Gear, every time they introduced a new car, because after about 2 or 3 seasons, they'd have to retire it because it was just
beat to
snot.
Yeah.
And so when they introduced a new one, they would introduce a new board.
Yeah, because it's a different car. It's different horsepower, different handling.
Yeah, the Ford Mondeo may be different than the Chevy Lacetti. These are just some of the cars they've had on there. But they always had a big launch party type of thing to get some initial lap times on the board. So that's what we're going to do.
Yep. So, yeah, keep an eye out for that in the upcoming, not too distant future. beginning of next year sometime.
And again, CW Motorsports is making this possible. They're going to put together a unit for us. We can't thank them enough and their support of the show here. So definitely, if you haven't followed them on Facebook, do so. If you know anybody that needs Razor parts, send them their way. I mean, Cody is just an outstanding guy.
Yeah.
And, we can't speak highly enough of him. So we really appreciate the backing there because that's significant.
Yeah.
That's more than just, here, hey, here's $50, call me a sponsor.
Yeah. It's real. So anyway, that was big news for us. I mean, we're excited about it. We hope you guys are excited about it.
And there's more stuff coming too. We're just not quite there yet, but we're trying to let some of this stuff leak out because we've been teasing a lot of this for months now.
Yeah, for months we've been saying there's stuff coming, and everyone's like, yeah, right. They don't have anything probably, but no, there is stuff brewing.
Yes, brewing. Fermenting might be the better.
That's a good way to put it.
We've also got one other segment we're going to introduce on this particular episode right now.
Yes. We're going to just call it Tips of the Week for now. So we've gone through at different times on the podcast and talked about, things that are important to do if you're going on a long trail ride or things that are important for a race season. These are just general tips and kind of our thoughts about them. So,
and we'll try not to beat the horse too much on these because they're supposed to be quick, but
this one we're going to talk about clean and orderly wiring. That sounds very boring when you say it that way.
But you know what's not boring?
Not catching on fire?
Exactly. When your machine burns to the ground, that is not boring at all. That's really exciting in all the wrong ways.
Yes. So everyone has this idea that the Razors are just, fireplaces driving around in disguise. But it's not the case.
No. And part of it we've discussed in the past is just because there's so many more of them out there.
But I would say, and I'd have to find statistics on this to back it all up, but I would bet a majority of these are due to either poor wiring routing, or
carrying fuel in the bed, which you're not supposed to do.
Yeah, that too. That'll do it. I have seen so much bad wiring that it would scare a person that knows what they're doing.
And it really is a particularly ugly issue. A lot of it's doesn't come down to like wrong wire size. A lot of people think, oh, well, that's what you're complaining about. They didn't use heavy enough wiring. No, it really is routing it in a neat and orderly fashion. It's putting split loom around wiring where it's going around a bend where it's going to rub because these machines vibrate. They're out there off-road.
Yeah.
If you're putting wire and you're zip tying it tight to a metal corner, it's going to rub through that wire at some point. Not if, it's when.
Yeah.
Some of the other things that we see that are particularly egregious errors are not scraping off powder coat or paint when you're grounding something.
So it's only kind of grounded?
It's basically grounded on the sharp cutting edge of one thread as a zip screw went through. That one little tiny thread where it contacts the metal, that's the entire grounding point now.
Yeah.
Some other things we see, lack of fuses.
Yeah.
You have to have a fuse when you go back to the battery and connect something up. You have to have a fuse at the battery so that if you do have a short because it rubs the frame, it will blow that fuse instead of starting a fire.
So I'm probably a little... My wiring isn't as tidy as some people's, but it's not bad. But here's kind of my general setup. I always run a secondary fuse block on a machine. Always. Is there an accessory post? Yes. Do I trust that? No, I don't. So I always run a secondary fuse block, and all of my accessories go to my new outside of factory. It's an aftermarket secondary fuse block, and that fuse block is turned off or on not by that accessory wire, but I have a 200 amp solid state relay that sits there. It's 200 amps. There's no way I'm going to draw that ever.
Right.
And so it only kicks on when I turn the key on. That fuse block is not fed live all the time. I don't want it fed live all the time. It comes on with the key.
And if your fuse block, your secondary one you're putting in, is a ways away from the battery, and by a ways I mean more than 18 inches, you still need a master fuse at the battery. Basically, before it exits the battery box, you want to be sure that the fuse is close enough that nothing can rub ahead of the fuse where the fuse won't blow now. You're just creating a short.
Right. So I have that 200 amp relay that is fused.
Yep.
Prior to getting to it. I mean, like right off the battery. So.
And then we talked about saying that small wiring isn't usually a problem. Most people go overkill, but that is another issue. You need to make sure you've got the right size wire. If your device is drawing 15 amps, you need to be at least a 14 gauge wire. If it's 20 amps, you need to be at least a 12 gauge. 30.
You mean I can't run my 55-inch light bar on like a
18 gauge zip cord?
Gauge? Yeah.
No, you cannot. If your light bar draws 20 amps, you better feed that with 12 gauge wire.
You mean I can't use speaker wire either?
If it's 12 gauge, knock yourself out. No. Exactly. You need to make sure that the information's readily available. All you have to do is go on Google and look up wire ampacity, or just put in what size do I need for 30 amps.
Yeah, it'll tell you.
But make sure that you're following those guidelines. That's what it is designed to do. And that 30 amps includes your safety margin already.
Yeah. So we're not trying to beat a dead horse. We're basically trying to help you guys when you're setting up your stuff to set it up the right way.
One other thing you can do to make sure that wires don't rub, that I like, when I see this, I like it. You can put split loom around it if you're worried about it. But the other thing is, instead of tie wrapping directly to something metal that could rub through if you're worried about it, put a tie wrap to that metal piece and then put another tie wrap to that. So you're linking the tie wraps together, putting it through the first one, creating a chain that holds your wire. Yeah. That way your wire can move and flex a little bit. It's not being held against something that could rub through it.
Yeah.
It's just using common sense and looking at stuff and going, you know what? That's going to chafe. That's going to cause a problem.
Yeah.
You're better safe than sorry. And honestly, even if it doesn't cause a fire, do you really want to have an electrical issue?
Be stranded out there or something.
Yeah, you've been planning this ride for 6 months. You've been really looking forward to it. And on day one, you have a crippling electrical issue. And now, instead of riding with your buddies and drinking beer, you're underneath it trying to find that stray wire that went bad.
Yeah, and that can be a nightmare.
So take the time up front. Usually the difference between good wiring and bad wiring is like a half hour to 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's usually not, eons and eons of time.
Yep. True story. So, well, we're going to run out of time, but we're going to do it anyway.
We control the time. You will stay here as long as we want.
Okay. So we have trivia.
Trivia me up.
You ready, sir?
Probably.
Okay. Question number 1. Approximately how many Americans die per year due to medical mistakes?
I'm assuming you mean the doctor made a mistake, not they made a medical, like the person who has the issue.
Yes. It's like
I'll just take 30 aspirin.
Misdiagnosis or, just whatever. A medical mistake done by a doctor.
I'll go 500.
You are very low. 250,000. Now, it may not be like the doctor killed them on the table, but it may be like the doctor did something which caused a problem and they die a month or 6 months later.
That can't be right.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way.
Now, I didn't say like United States Americans. It's like Americans.
Okay.
So I probably should have clarified that a little bit more, but I said it. I just didn't specify and make sure you heard it.
That still seems pretty high regardless, but I guess they're probably including in that stat like hindsight's 2020, like they missed something.
Yeah.
So maybe not doing anything was the mistake.
Right.
But it does kind of go to show you too, I'm not bagging on doctors here, how little we actually know.
Oh, yeah.
Like we think we have really great medical science. There's a lot we still don't know.
That's why it's called a practice.
Yeah. Hey, I learned something.
Yeah. Okay. Question number 2. Where did the term lunatics come from? Like if someone's crazy?
I'm guessing it was something to do with some like religious cult that worshiped the moon.
It was not, really. Okay. In the Middle Ages, scientists believed that a full moon caused seizures and people to go crazy.
That was where I was getting the Luna part from.
You're close, but it wasn't a cult. It was just general like doctoral science. Believed that full moon caused people to go crazy, hence lunatics.
Well, there is a uptick in crime every time there's a full moon, like demonstrably.
There is.
Probably because there's just more light. I don't know.
And there's many theories. So, question number 3. On average, how many times in a human's life do they escape death? I don't count in this statistic.
I was going to say,
I drive this one way
850 million times.
No, the average person.
Let's say they do it 5 times a year. I don't know, 4,000. 5 times a year for 80 years.
No, it's only 6 times.
Wow. I guess my life with you has been way more interesting because I feel like I escape death way more often than that.
No, 6 times is the average. You got to think most people aren't in a major...
Haven't you seen Final Destination?
Yeah, that's a movie.
Nobody gets around it. Death is coming for you.
But you got to think, most people don't do what would be called extreme sports. They don't race. They don't do things like that.
If anybody has been on the road with other drivers in the past week, they've escaped death.
No, you've escaped an accident.
Death.
Whatever.
Okay. That one was low. I guess I'm just attuned to my life with you, and I'm thinking... I don't know, 5 times a year didn't seem unreasonable.
How many rounds do we race in a year? And then there's driving to and from. Yeah.
But I'll stick with my estimate.
Okay, question number 4. How much did Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels make on the movie Dumb and Dumber? What were their salaries? Not earnings after based on, sponsorship deals or anything else. Just how much were they paid to do the movie?
Jim Carrey made millions on that movie. I'm going to say like 7 or 8 million. Jeff Daniels made like I think they gave him a bag of nickels and a couple peanuts. It wasn't much, like 20 grand or something stupid.
You were very close. The one I'll give you, Jim Carrey's. It was 7 million because you said 7 or 8. So yes, you get half an internet point. Jeff Daniels got $50,000.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't much.
Yeah,
here's like I said, basically a bag of nickels.
Yeah,
he was furious when that movie took off.
I
think he did okay on the second one. He basically said, "You're going to overpay me."
Yeah. For
this one because of the prior.
I don't blame him.
You know how much the kid who played Napoleon Dynamite made on that movie?
Oh, it wasn't much.
It's like $1,000.
Is that all it was?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was more than that, but... Ooh.
Yeah, it was like nothing because they didn't... Like, nobody's going to watch this.
If you look at the overall cinematography of that movie and everything else, it's bad.
You and I could have shot it.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to make a movie.
But it just took off. It became a cult
Eminent
following.
Waste of Time. The movie.
The movie. All right. Question number 5. How much does Michael Jordan make off the Air Jordan brand annually? And this is also just an estimate.
I'll go 23 million since that was his number.
$100 million.
If you're going to just have residual, blow it away income coming in, that's not a bad number.
I would take that. Did you know that he actually wanted and almost did sign? He wanted Adidas to carry the Air Jordan brand, but Adidas said he was too short and they wouldn't do it. So Nike it was.
No 6'6" people. You must be this tall to ride.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think they missed out on something there.
Just a bit. It's like the record companies that passed on the Beatles.
Yeah. Suckers. Okay. Question number 6. What was Paul Winchell, Winchell, famous for? He was famous for 2 things. If you get either one, I'll give it to you.
I don't recognize the name, so I couldn't even venture a guess.
Give me 2 wild guesses, then.
He invented anti-lock brakes and was the first person to climb Mount Everest without legs.
That's a good guess, but no, you're very far off. He was actually the first person to patent and build the first mechanical artificial heart, and he was the original voice of Winnie the Pooh.
There you go.
That's 2 not even related things.
Oh bother.
Yes. Yep.
I had no idea. You know what's funny is one of my upcoming podcasts, I listen to one called Every Little Thing.
Yeah.
And it's about trivia stuff like this. It's about stuff you kind of like
stealing my trivia.
Well, they don't really steal your show, but they go in depth about stuff that you never really thought about. Like, the one-piece plastic molded chairs that you see everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't exist before the 70s.
Yeah.
Where did they come from? And how did they become so ubiquitous? And so they did a deep dive to find the original creator because nobody knew who designed these chairs. Like, they just started appearing and somebody stole the design.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a deep dive into minutia. And I think it's the next one or the one after coming up is How Old is Winnie the Pooh?
Oh.
So I probably would have found that guy's name out had
probably would have.
Had I gotten ahead.
Yep.
Dang it.
You didn't, though.
Anyways.
Okay, question number 7. Santa Claus. Everyone kind of knows that he is inspired by St. Nicholas.
Yes.
So nothing there. St. Nicholas, though, what is he the patron saint of?
I would assume children, but I don't know.
No, he's actually the patron saint of prostitutes, sailors, and repentant thieves. That is what
that's
known for.
I mean, if you're going to have a sainthood job, it's not a bad way to do it.
I guess.
Sounds like he had a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. Question number 8. On average, what does it cost to charge your cell phone for a year?
It's not going to be much. Probably pennies per charge if you charge it once a day. I'll say $5.
$1.
Yeah, there you go. Obviously, that person doesn't have REMC because my power ain't that cheap.
Right. Well, but I found that one interesting. You weren't super far off. You knew it was going to be cheap, but I bet a lot of people think it's $100 or something. It doesn't take much.
No, in fact, people were balking. You know these scooter sharing things like Bird and Lime.
Yeah.
They pay you $5 to charge them. People are balking at that. You know how much it costs to charge a Bird scooter that's totally dead?
Yeah, it's like
7 cents.
Yeah. Yeah, there's people that actually, it's their job that they go around and pick those up, and Lime or Bird pays them, and they charge them overnight and drop them back off amongst the city.
Somebody did the math that if you do both Bird and Lime, because you can only charge, I think, 20.
Yeah.
Like they cut you off. But if you do both of them and you do them every day, you can make something on the order of $30,000 a year.
Yeah. And it costs you a few hundred maybe in power bill.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Not anything that anybody'd really notice. So yeah, it's a job you can make a legitimate living at. So anyway, question number 9. Sioux City, Iowa airport.
That would be Sioux City.
Sioux City. Yeah, however you pronounce it. Anyway.
Sioux. I just told you.
Shut up. Their airport code is SUX. Sucks.
Nice.
That's not the trivia question.
I was going to say, that was easy.
They didn't like that their airport code was sucks.
Okay.
They asked the FAA to change it, and the FAA said, we'll give you the option. Here is your new code you can choose to accept if you would like. What was the code that they were given?
I've never flown in there, so I don't know. Is it equally as infuriating?
Yes. I'll give you that much.
I'm trying to think of 3 letters. I don't know. I give up.
GAY. I don't know why they offered that.
Okay.
I have no idea, but gay. They were offered gay. They turned it down. We'll stick with sucks.
Nice. There's always a reason behind those.
Yeah.
Was it? It's not. Is Midway? No, it's not Midway. In Chicago, it's the. Why am I blanking on the O'Hare? They're ORD.
Yeah.
There's actually a reason for that.
Yeah.
And I've forgotten that piece of trivia.
I don't remember why they offered them gay, but they did offer them.
That's bizarre.
Why?
But there you go.
So, okay, last one. This is probably my favorite one this week. I don't know why.
I'm afraid.
Question 10. The movie Predator, Arnold Schwarzenegger and all that. It's a popular movie in, was it the 80s or is it early 90s? Whenever, somewhere in there.
It is 80s, like 86 or 7.
Okay. They wanted to show the Predator swinging from tree to tree. You know, to show that the Predator...
Tarzan style?
Yeah, well, to show the Predator alien thingy was nimble and, had adapted and, all this. So, but the actor in the suit couldn't do that because they couldn't see well out of it. It was stupid dangerous, blah, blah, blah. This is before computer, before they really did graphics well. So anyway, what did they try and get these shots? To try and get the Predator swinging from tree to tree shots.
I'm assuming they just had some sort of, harness crane rig and something fairly mundane, but I'm guessing that's not the case.
Is that your guess?
Did they put an orangutan in the predator suit?
What is your guess?
That's my second guess.
The orangutan? I don't know if it was an orangutan, but they did build a predator suit for a monkey. And they tried to get the monkey to swing from tree to tree. The monkey did not cooperate and kept ripping the suit off.
And throwing poop at them. Do I get an internet point for that?
I will give you an internet point
Sweet.
for that. I don't know how many got. We're bad at scoring this.
Speaking of swinging between trees, I think you've got a story.
Yeah.
Our own personal monkey.
Me. Look at the monkey. Laugh.
Dance, monkey, dance.
So Doug's going to insert a nice video here for all you fine folk. But I have a zip line. Why does any normal man need a zip line? Because I wanted a zip line.
Because you have a pond. I mean, why not?
And I have kids, and no other kids have a zip line. So as a dad who wants to do strange and odd things, I put up a 350-foot or whatever it is zip line. This isn't your stupid little backyard ones that you see in the subdivisions.
It's a good stretch.
This is a 300-and-something-foot zip line. We start, 20 feet up in the air, roughly 20-something feet. And you go all the way across like one length of the pond. So it's fun. Anyway, when I first put this up, my brother and I were working on it because it's kind of hard to pull that much steel cable up by yourself and like do everything. So we're putting it up and we're working on it. And the time comes to take the first ride. Kind of nerve-wracking. I don't really know what I'm doing with a zip line in case you guys didn't catch this. I'd never done this. I'm the kind of person, I'll figure that out. Mm-hmm. Now, when you're trying to, quote unquote, figure it out, and you're starting at 20-something feet above the ground, and you've never done this, I have no idea if I have too much slack, not enough slack, if I'm just going to smack into the tree at the end of the thing, or what's going to happen. But somebody's got to go first. So I get on the thing. I got the harness on. You've seen the video. Go riding down. I'm all happy. Get about halfway. All of a sudden, the whole cable just lets go. And I drop about 15 feet or so. It wasn't too bad. Right into the pond. Now, what doesn't show in the video is the aftermath of me getting up and swimming back, like dragging a steel cable in full clothing.
That very easily could have ended up poorly.
Yeah. But I drug that all to the shore with me, with the harness on, because I'm still strapped to it.
Why exactly did said cable fail?
Well, the cable didn't fail at all. My brother neglected to tighten the clamps.
That's a cable fail.
Yeah. So as soon as I got to the shore, and I was laughing hysterically the whole time, because who wouldn't after just falling? I'm laughing. And I go, "Did you tighten those cables?" He goes, "No, I forgot to do that." Yeah, I guess you did.
Why would not a normal person have checked?
I checked my end.
I think I would have checked both.
Yeah, well, I should have. So I went and I checked them, and now I recheck them every season, at least.
That's probably good, since you've sent my kids across it.
Yeah, your kids have lived. You're fine.
Yeah, so there's that. I just don't I've got nothing to say about that.
You know what? I didn't die. I had fun.
Good enough.
I got to go swimming.
Anyways, we do want to say thank you to Watch Communications for hosting this podcast.
Yep.
You can get 1 month of free hosting with Watch Communications by using the code Waste of Time, all lowercase, no spaces. And they can also hook you up with internet access in more rural parts of Indiana and Ohio.
Yep.
And they're ever expanding as well. So if you live out in the sticks and you got crappy internet access, head to watchcom with 2ms.net and see if they can hook you up. Or if you need web hosting, you can look at them for that as well. They've done an outstanding job for us. We also want to say a big thank you to TGM Off-Road, UTV-Doors.com, UTV Engineering, CW Motorsports, Harrison Power Sports, and Spangs Fab. You can find us on the web at eminentperformance.com. Our YouTube channel, just look for Eminent Performance. And you can find us on Instagram /Eminent Racing, Facebook /Eminent Racing as well. And you can find the podcast on Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio.
Yep. I will throw in one more thing. We're kind of getting ready to wrap up what we're going to call season 1
yes.
of the show. So we're going to be, looking at taking on new sponsors. So if you guys are interested, if you know a business that's based around UTVs, or you just know a business that's looking to advertise in some way, get a hold of us. We'll get you some details on that. We'll kind of, cross that bridge slowly and present you with some information and see if it's something you're interested in.
Yeah, the sponsor list is definitely going to be changing a little bit. No real fault of anybody's, just different. We've kind of gone a different direction than we originally had intended this to go, and we just want to find people that are on board with what we're currently doing.
Yep.
Whatever that actually is.
Falling from zip lines. So, yeah, that's going to be changing, but we're kind of getting into that, and I've actually thought about redoing the intro. Like, our music's kind of iconic now, but... It is.
I don't know. I guess we better stick with it.
Maybe we'll have a vote for that. Change the music.
Change the intro, spice it up, leave it the same. I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll figure that all out.
Yep.
In the meantime, no matter what backyard project almost killed you, thanks for riding along with us.
Thanks, guys.
Tired of going down, tired of myself, tired of this town.